Okay, we're back modeling the monster truck. In this segment, I'm going to do I think it's going to be a fairly short segment on fixing more geometry errors, just kind of going over with a fine-tooth comb and looking for problems that we may need to fix. And if you're seeing a little pencil cursor, hopefully it's not too annoying, but I noticed it was putting in a different kind of cursor last time that I didn't like, so we'll try this one. Before we get started, I'm just going to do a quick render, show you what I did to the door. As you can see, I think it's looking pretty good so far. Need to put the handle in there, but I put this extra seam here. All I did was do a loop cut and made two of them and brought them real close to the edge of that window there. And then I just took the edges, the vertices of the window, and moved them closer to the seal, so it gave a nicer definition here. Okay, so let's get into looking at some of these errors here, or problem areas that we need to fix in the geometry. First of all, anything along the edge here where the mirror modifier is going to be applied, don't worry about that, like this thing here. There's nothing you can do about that until we actually apply the mirror modifier, so no need to worry about that. Let's turn on occlude here for a second and just kind of look at your basic geometry of the truck. Say if we go into the top view and see how your edges are going. What you want to try to do is, if I can select these, you want your edges to kind of relax a little bit so they're in a nice uniform flow type of thing. So just move those over a little bit. And especially if you're not going to subsurf something, if you're just going to leave it a basic low poly model, you'll definitely be looking at things like that. There's so many times in modeling that it gets very important to relax all your vertices and move them around to get them to where they need to really be. What comes to mind immediately to me is like doing the front side of front of an aircraft where you got the nose or something. Just almost I would say hours of moving around vertices to get them exactly where you need them. And because we're using a subsurf here, I mean, you can take the camera and you can go around the truck and you can take renders and see where your problem areas are, which, you know, in the final render, if you want it to make sure everything's perfect, of course you want to do that anyway. But as you can see, Blender's actually showing you some of the problem areas. You can see these spots here that need to be dealt with. So let's just look at this one right here. If we select these vertices, you can see they just need to be pulled out a little bit. And it's up to you how you want your model to look. I mean, if you want it to have a nice round fender like that, then you'll want to pull it all the way out. Or if you do want some kind of definition, you can actually leave that in there and maybe take these here. Maybe not that one. And just kind of round it out there and leave a little bit of indentation there. Just remember you're working in the 3D space, so you want to look at your top view as well. I mean the Z-axis. A lot of what modeling is just going through all this and straightening out your vertices, especially if you're doing something like modeling a face or something like that, a head or a body or anything like that. It's just hours and hours and hours of moving vertices, and it's actually can be kind of fun to do that. Kind of sometimes it's kind of annoying, but also kind of enjoying in a strange kind of way. And you see, I'm just trying to get wherever you have these rough edges. As you look, you can straighten them out as you go. This one you can see is indented way too much. Kind of pull that out. And oftentimes when you're doing this, I mean, just think in terms of, like, if you want to pull this out, think in terms of a midway between this edge and this edge, and you'll kind of get the realization as you're working with these, you know, what it's really doing. It's really relaxing all the geometry, so it's not stressed to the point where it's creating problems for you. Why this thing's snapping back on me sometimes. Unfortunately, you can't really even see some of the vertices here when you select them, but you'll see soon enough as you start trying to pull them out if they're not coming out or not. And because we are doing the subsurf, I mean, you have so much geometry underneath this, or I should say subdivisions of geometry, that it's not going to hurt very much if you do leave some of this. But what you're really trying to do is get the shape you're after for your whatever you're modeling. As you can see, this is a real problem right here that I created when I extruded this out. Should be a vert right here somewhere. Ah, there it is. Stuck way in there, I think. Turn occlude off. We can see what it's doing. Yeah, see, it's pulled out way out of whack. Pull that forward. So you can imagine, you know, trying to do this with the mirror modifier applied, and then having to go through the whole other side of the truck and just try to do the whole other thing. It's not gonna happen. So best to get all this stuff taken care of and then apply your mirror modifier, like I didn't do. If you haven't had a lot of practice doing this, it's very frustrating when you first start moving these vertices around to try to get things to act the way they want. But the more and more you do it, the easier it gets, because you start to realize how the geometry works and how each point affects the other point. And it's just an ongoing learning process. There's nobody that has got it down pat. I can guarantee you that. There's really good modelers out there, but I guarantee you every time they make a model, they learn something new. Looks like I got a little bit of see this? I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's like a dark area here. That means that some of this edge stuff here is being stressed. So it's possible I could go in here and start moving things around, but when I rendered it, at least from the view I was looking at, it didn't hurt it at all. So I don't even want to mess with that. And when you're doing fine tuning like this, it's always going to be your vertices, or I would say 9 times out of 10 it'll be your vertices that you're moving around. It's not going to be full faces or edges, but it could be depending on the circumstance that you're doing. And as I'm changing these, I'm just really looking at, you know, the entire geometry and how it's corresponding with each other. And I mean, I can see that this one, you know, really needs to come out a little bit to line up with the rest. And you have to look at this stuff from all angles, because it'll look good in one angle and then you find that it doesn't in another. Only because you're moving, you know, you're moving all the different axes, X, Y, and Z axis. A lot of these vertical ones look fine, but then come over here and you can see how this is going zip up like that, and then over here and then down. Yeah, I don't want that. I want to get them nice and relaxed and kind of together. So when I push that down, you can see what happened. You get this kind of problem. So it's in this case is a X and Z operation to get it where it needs to go. So when you look at it on the side view again, closer, I don't know why that's snapping back like that. Okay, so you can see kind of a nice curve there, not so abrupt in the changes. Yep, I get both of those. So let's look at the side view here. Go into edge mode, and we can kind of get a nice overview of what this looks like and how the geometry looks. You can see it's not too bad, but I see right off this could probably use a little bit of work. I'll probably bring these down a little bit. This isn't too bad. I can get rid of this triangle here. There's no need for it, I don't think. These all come down to a point here. Triangles, that's not good there. You can see it's creating problems. So I'll probably end up fixing that. And to fix that, basically what I do to fix things like that is I'll go in, I'll delete these triangles, and I'll probably put an edge loop so I can come back up here and hook these together just like I've done on other things before. I think you probably got the hang of that if you didn't already. Same thing here. We don't want these, you don't want any triangles. Get rid of them if you can. Sometimes it just seems like it's unavoidable, but I've found that if you work hard enough to get rid of them, you can. Sometimes it's just not worth it if it's not hurting your geometry, but get rid of as many as you can. You want all quads. You don't want anything more than 4 sides. Those are called n-gons, and those can create you even greater problems. So let's look at the top. And really not bad at all. This actually turned out a lot better than what I originally had it, especially when I redid that front and kind of moved these over a little bit. You know, not a whole lot of geometry or edges here that have been added. Needed to add a edge loop here for the middle of those lights, but not bad at all. Do a Control 7, you can look at the bottom, and it should kind of mirror what you have on the top, and it does. You can look at the front. See the ones going across here, nice and smooth. Do a control 1, look at the back. Got a problem here. This is just a matter of moving this over. Not a big deal, but not too bad. This handle has created a little bit of a issue here, but not bad at all. So the good thing about having your subsurf but not applying it yet is you're still working in this kind of low poly view. You can fix all these problems. And I can see this right here needs to be kind of, and that's that area that kind of needed some help anyway. A lot of times too, I'll go into the actual view, like side view here, and I'll just straighten out stuff. And of course, that means that the top view is going to be not so straightened out, and you got to fix that. But you'll find that when you do that, things start getting straightened out really quick. And then you can go, once you got the top and the side straightened out, you can go ahead and go into your 3D view and look for more problems. So see how that kind of has a nice curve to it now. Alright, so that's been fixing the geometry, or getting it a little bit better. There's still work to do, and you can probably fix geometry until the cows come home. But at some point you're going to say, it's going to meet your level of quality or level of approval. So until next time, this is Modeling the Monster Truck.